Suprabhatam friends, welcome to my channel Plants and Me. This is Dr. Devi from Mangaluru, Karnataka, India. Today's plant is a very special plant to me. Actually, it's a very common plant, but somehow I love this plant because of its flowers. In the blooming season, this plant looks really very awesome. It is a trailing type of plant, and with its flowers trailing on the slopes of the cliff, it looks beautiful. It's available in cream color and blue colored varieties. Wherever these two varieties are found together, you get a hybrid variety also. So today's plant is Asystasia gangetica. It is called as Asystasia plant. I'm not very sure of the common name. It's a very beautiful plant. I got a cutting from a place which was, abandoned place, like waste place. And I just stuck that cutting into a grow bag. It's doing very well. I thought of repotting it. So let's get started. In folklore practices, this plant is used to treat rheumatism and hypertension. So I used to see this plant daily on a very neglected area on the roadside. In fact, this grows as a weed on the roadside. I was very much fascinated with the blooms. This plant is a trailing plant. It doesn't need any support. It will trail along the ground. It doesn't root anywhere, but it will trail along the ground or any support. And if it is climbing a cliff, after it blooms, it hangs down the cliff. It looks really awesome. So that's what caught my attention. So from the roadside only, I took a cutting of this plant and I just stuck it into this grow bag. It's quite some time now. In fact, I took another cutting of another plant. I think this is a cream colored one and this is the violet flowered one, this one. So this also I stuck in this, that cutting I stuck in this grow bag. On the roadside, there is no care for these plants, but these bloom so beautifully. So because I was fascinated with this plant, I brought cuttings and I rooted them in these grow bags. So I want to transfer them into one single pot. This is the pot. This is actually an old pot in which one plant was there, but it didn't survive. So I took that, cleaned this pot. I have put the potting mix in this and I cleaned this pot. The drainage holes, they are okay, small, so the potting mix may not leak out from those drainage holes. So in the wild, when it is growing, there is no one to give it any fertilizer or anything like that, but I plan to fertilize it, give some food for it. So this is the potting soil. Actually, it grows on laterite rocks, rocky area, on cliffs, etc. So there water content is very less and the water drains off those cliffs. So the plant stays dry almost all the time. So I don't want to take a chance. So I took the potting soil and I have added a lot of sand in this because I wanted a well draining soil, like how it would get if it grew on a cliff or the rocks. So this is just garden soil which I bought from the nursery, garden potting mix that is. To that I added a little bit of sand, and the sand which I use is almost always coarse, very coarse. So now I'll start filling this pot with the potting soil. I want to pot both the plants in the same pot. I want to transfer both the plants in the grow bags into this same pot. So I'll get two colors of flowers in the same pot and it will look really awesome. So that is what I'm going to do. So I'm filling this pot with the potting soil which has got a little bit more of sand. So the ratio of the sand and soil approximately is 60 soil and 40 sand. So I have filled around 3 inches of the pot with this potting soil. Now I'll add vermicompost. Actually on the roadside when it is growing as a weed, it doesn't get any extra nutrition. Whatever is there in the ground, this plant will absorb. In fact on the ground there will be leaf mold, there will be fallen leaf that is, and sometimes some leaves they will be decomposing, so that way it gets its nutrition. So I want to give it vermicompost. I have put quite a bit of vermicompost. Now I am adding a little more soil and I will mix that vermicompost along with the soil. A little more vermicompost. For flowering plants, I use cow dung manure or this vermicompost, and then I add a little bit of a handful, around 15 grams of this magnesium sulfate or Epsom salt. This will make the soil acidic, which this plant loves. The plant loves acidic soil. Apart from that, this magnesium sulfate will help the plant overcome the shock of repotting. So I'll put little more potting soil. Then again a little of vermicompost, layer by layer. It will form layer by layer. So on this layer again a little bit of, that is handful of magnesium sulfate or Epsom salt. I am mixing it with the vermicompost and the soil, and then I will be adding little bit, a handful of bone meal. I will add little bit of potting soil again and mix all this so that the bone meal or the Epsom salt doesn't come in direct contact with the roots of the plant. So I have mixed all this. I will remove the plant from the grow bag and get back. So as you can see, one plant, it has rooted so well, but this soil in which it is there, it is a little soggy, so I will separate a little bit of soil because that is not good for the plant, and then put this plant in the center of the pot. So I removed the other plant also, and it has got very nice roots. Now I'll just make some space here for both the plants. This root ball I have not disturbed. If I disturb the root ball, the roots will get exposed and the plant will go into too much shock. So I am not disturbing this root ball, but I'll make some space so that I can fit that root ball inside. So this is one plant and this is the other one. I'm fitting both the plants in one pot. So yes, so this is enough. Now if I put a little more potting soil on this, then these roots, whatever roots are being exposed here, that also will be covered. So let me finish putting the remaining potting soil in the pot. So I have covered this part here, the roots were exposed there. So now it is sitting perfectly in the pot. So this is how this plant got repotted. So I will water this and keep it in shade. This pot will be kept in shade for 1 or 2 days. Actually these are settled plants and I have not disturbed them much, and I transplanted them immediately without exposing the roots or giving the plant much shock. So this will not take much time, the plant will recover very fast. To be on safer side, I will water and keep it on in the shady area. I have got 2 more Asystasia gangetica on my terrace. Just hold on. So this is also Asystasia gangetica. It's in bloom. Such beautiful blooms. The leaves are variegated. Yes, if I can focus. Yes, the leaves are variegated, if you can observe. This I bought from a local nursery. And because the leaves are variegated, and by nature the plant requires full sun, so we have kept it on the terrace. This is another one. This also is a variegated or variegated Asystasia gangetica, and this has got violet blooms. So if we compare the leaves of both, they are so much dissimilar. This has got a different type of variegation and this has got a different type of variegation. Variegation is totally different. So these are the 2 more variegated Asystasia gangetica from my garden. Sunlight requirement. It is a full sun plant. Obviously when it is growing in waste places, it will get full sun. It loves full sun and it will bloom very well in full sun. Water requirement, very less water. I don't water the plant daily once in 2 or 3 days is more than enough. In fact, you can give a gap of 3 days. It doesn't require much water. And as I told you, its natural habitat is the wastelands. So there it doesn't get much water. So it has to be watered very less. Nutrition, it doesn't require any nutrition again. It probably derives the nutrition from the rotten leaves, etc., which is there on the roadside. It can be provided with vermicompost, and for blooming, bone meal can be added. So that's about the repotting of Asystasia gangetica. Thanks for joining. Take care. Bye. I had promised to put a update of the plant which I repotted, Asystasia gangetica. So here is the plant after repotting. It doesn't show any signs of stress at all. It has taken up the transplant very nicely, beautifully. It is hale and hearty and healthy. So what I would do is, I would stack up this plant so that it holds up this support, and I can tie it. It won't climb holding that support, but I will tie to this two stackings. So this is the small update about the plant. Thanks for joining. Bye. Take care.